Hello. I thought I would jump on to talk about a headline that caught my eye. You may have seen it from the BBC. Conservatives would scrap stamp duty, Badenoch announces. She received a standing ovation. This was her first speech as Conservative leader at a Conservative conference. And partly she only mentioned reform twice, and what she said went down well. And good for her. It is good that she's talking about something which will give people hope, stimulate the economy, and create a bit of a stir. And also good that she wasn't focused on reform. A mistake that, at least in places, Labour made at their conference. However, this got me thinking. Another promise. What is the system that we currently have? It would appear, as far as I understand it, that politicians, parties can make these pledges, can lay things out in a manifesto, and of course they don't have to deliver them.
Does the new government have to put manifesto pledges into action? The short answer in constitutional terms is no. Government is not legally bound to implement any manifesto commitment. The courts have been clear on this, and there are sensible reasons to justify this position. The observations of Lord Denning from 1981 still ring true today. A manifesto issued by a political party in order to get votes is not to be taken as gospel. It may contain, and often does contain, promises or proposals that are quite unworkable.
Now, intriguingly, I read a bit of research which suggested that in the UK, pledges are kept more often than they're not.
From this article, the most comprehensive study of the programme to policy linkage was published in 2017. It brought together 20,000 specific campaign promises from 57 elections in 12 countries. The strongest linkage is found in the United Kingdom, with over 85% of promises by governing parties at least partly enacted in the years studied. Yes, perhaps that partly is important, but there's something else going on here, isn't there?
It doesn't seem like that, does it? And apparently this is because of something called the pledge paradox.
From the same article, the pledge paradox, the take-home message from this area of study is that politicians do seem to try to keep their promises. The central mechanism by which vote choices are supposed to translate into policy works more smoothly than voters assume. This disconnect between public beliefs and the academic consensus even has a name: the pledge paradox. So what is that exactly?
We tend to spot those things, the pledges that weren't kept. We focus on those rather than those things that were kept and are up and running.
What's going on is in part connected to our old friend negativity bias, in part a survival mechanism. But here, well, this explains why we tend to remember the things that didn't get done. From the same article again, why are public beliefs out of sync with the evidence? A recent study shows that negativity bias, the tendency for people to react more strongly to negative information, is the reason that voters remember broken pledges better than fulfilled ones.
And I think, yeah, okay, I'm sure that is true. I'm sure I do that. But I think one thing that's missing from the pledge paradox is awaiting. How important were those things that weren't done, didn't get put into practice?
Both political parties and researchers, however, must confront questions about the importance of pledges enacted by parties. A recently completed study of pledges from the 2017 Conservative Manifesto shows that the promises considered more important by voters were less likely to be kept. For example, a pledge to make maps of school buildings available to parents was kept, while the commitment to reduce net migration to below 100,000 was again broken. An impressive fulfilment rate of 69% declined to 48% when they were weighted by voter priority.
And the other thing that's missing when people talk about politicians and parties not delivering is, and we've seen it in the UK, haven't we? It is the fact that there can be a pledge, there can be a manifesto, some of those things may come to pass, other things may get ignored for whatever reason, they don't happen, but there's an inherent, let's call it expectation, isn't there? That's what a lot of us saw in the UK with Labour. There was an expectation about what they wouldn't do, you know? So it's like the negative pledge, maybe just made that up, I think. And that surprised and shocked a lot of people. So it's not just what they say they will do and not deliver, it's what they do out of the starting blocks in terms of Labour that surprises, shocks so many people, because it's unlike anything that most people expected. And so I think that's got to be sorted out, don't you?